Hello, I'm Steve Spinner. I'm the Berrien Springs Middle School principal. I'd like to welcome all of our parents and students back to the 2020-21 school year. With the COVID-19 pandemic, school is going to look different this year for students and parents. The purpose of this video is to give students and parents an idea of what face-to-face learning will look like in a normal school day. I can guarantee you that safety and security is the #1 priority of the Berrien Springs Public Schools. We have taken guidance from the CDC, the Michigan Safe Schools Roadmap, and the Berrien County Health Department to put together protocols that can guarantee the safest return to school. The start of our day is going to be a critical piece to maintaining a safe environment. We're asking all parents to do a daily wellness check on their child before arriving at school, which would include a temperature check. Any student who has a temperature of over 100 degrees, we're asking that they stay home. Other guidance for wellness checks is located on our website. It is critical for the safety of our staff and our students that if your child is showing symptoms or has a fever, that they stay home for the day. One of the requirements for riding the bus to school is that all students must wear a mask. There are a couple options for masks that would be appropriate. A cloth face mask or a disposable surgical face mask are always good options. Okay, let's go ahead and enter the building so we can go ahead and walk through what a typical day would look like. When your student enters the building on arrival, they'll be escorted by building staff to their first hour cohorts. In doing this, we'll be able to socially distance your students per safety guidelines for the County Health Department and CDC guidelines. Face masks will be required for all students 6 through 8 in the building at all times. The only time your child will not have to wear a face mask is eating at lunch. Scheduled hand washing times will be out throughout the day per CDC guidelines, and we are committed to socially distancing our students as much as possible. All of our students will be offered a contactless breakfast and lunch. Masks are not required while students are eating in the cafeteria or eating areas. We will socially distance our students in the cafeteria, in the gymnasium, and adjacent hallways to protect our students during their lunch times. Let's talk about class transitions and schedules. All middle school students will be put in cohort groups for safety guidelines. We will stagger and tier passing periods to avoid crowded areas. Class schedules will be adjusted and electives may be limited based on safety guidelines. We are recommending that students take their backpacks with supplies to all classes. This would eliminate the use of lockers throughout the day. Lockers will be available at the beginning and the end of the day to store materials.
So when you enter a middle school classroom, you will have an assigned seat, and so students will stay in their assigned seat during the class period. Students will have their mask on, and also staff members. So this is what a typical middle school classroom will look like this year. It's a little different than in the past. We typically have students grouped together in small groups. Fortunately, we can't do that this year, so we have our tables, our desks separated as far as possible. We also have taken out any extra furniture. Students will not be able to share classroom materials, so we've moved those out so we have some more space. The only exception would be then in the science lab, where students will be able to use the lab equipment and it will be sanitized between class periods. At the end of class, students will be dismissed to move on as a cohort to their next classroom. In between that time, staff members will come in and disinfect all surfaces, so tabletops, desks, chairs, and any other surfaces that students have come in contact with that class period. In terms of learning, students will be issued on day 1 a district-provided Chromebook that they will be able to use during their class time and then also at home, so they'll have access 24/7. If families have unreliable Wi-Fi at home, they will be able to check out a district-provided Wi-Fi. So for the first week of classes, students, we will be phasing in learning. So we will first start with what are the safety protocols. We will practice those, we'll model those, and then we'll move into the technology piece. So how do you get logged into your Chromebook? How do you get logged into our learning management system, Schoology? How do you get logged into your online textbooks and other curricular resources that you'll use in your classes? And lastly, we will talk about the strategies of being a successful online learner in case we do need to move to remote learning sometime in the future.
All Michigan High School Athletic Association guidelines will be followed. Decision is expected to be made the week of August 20th regarding fall sports. Berrien Springs Middle School will begin cross country for grades 6 through 8 on August 31st, football on August 31st, and volleyball on August 31st. Extracurricular activities will be suspended on campus for the fall semester based on current Phase 4 guidelines. If possible, extracurricular activities will be offered at remote locations.
At the end of the day, student dismissal will be based on a staggered dismissal time. Whether your student is a first load bus rider or a second load bus rider, or whether your student is a walker rider or a parent pickup. Staff will escort your students in their cohorts outside the building based on those dismissal assignments. I hope this short video helps parents and students understand what a typical day in the middle school might look like due to the COVID-19 safety guidelines and protocols. Again, our first priority as a building is the safety and security of your child and our staff. We look forward to seeing all of our students back on August 31st for our return to school. If any parents have questions or concerns about these guidelines, please feel free to contact the middle school office or get in on any of our social media outlets to view the full return to school roadmap for the Berrien Springs Middle School.